thank you very much for being here tonight. Just for everybody's awareness, Andrea Williams is not with us physically, but she's on speakerphone so that she can participate where she can. She's, doing what we all should do as parents and support our kids. So appreciate her at least being on the phone with us. We have had a great month and look forward to the reports from our administrators and Mr. Kirby. So let's just dive right into this and see if we can't beat the time. Mr. Kirby, do you have?
Yes. So lots of things going on this month, and we I don't know. It's fun to see all the activities going on, and kids are busy, and administrators are busy, and teachers are busy. We had some issues with our M2 security cameras in the front, where the high school and Pioneer were not working, and they have been out a couple, 3 times, and kind of sent out their main guy, and has done a really nice job for us. I think we're up and running there everywhere at this point, so that was pretty key to get that caught up. I went to an Ed Law conference here a couple weeks back in Boise. Had a chance to meet with Brett Walter, who's kind of our main go-to for legal concerns here in the district. So I had a good chat with him for 10 or 15 minutes, and kind of learned some of the things that are coming down the pike for the district and for the state. So that was good. We had the Weiser retirement dinner, went really well on last Monday, and got Dave all retired. He thinks he doesn't have to go to work anymore after that, because kind of like seniors graduate, they think they're done, kind of saying. But no, we made him come back. But I think we had 140 people there served that night. It was really nice evening. So.
Well, Mr. Kirby, didn't you retire once? So,
I love retirement.
You have all kinds of things to look forward to.
I never retired so much. I've retired twice.
Yeah.
They come back next year. Let's see. EV Studio was over here on Thursday and did a bid opening, and Jim and Kyla and Eric were able to attend that. They were also here the previous Thursday, so now we've got bids on the auxiliary gym, the high school roof, the high school gym floor, and the Pioneer roof. And so I think we're going to take a look at those tonight and try to figure out who it is that we're going to go with. And so EV Studios, I think Eric is there.
They're going to zoom in.
What's that?
They're going to.
Oh, they're all going to zoom in?
They're going to be
Okay.
team meetings.
Okay, all right, but they'll be participating with us and making their recommendation, but had some pretty good bids, and it looks better than we had kind of anticipated early on.
Jim? Oh, she hasn't. Okay.
Okay. Went around with Drew and Eric and Casey and Marcy and walked the track last week with Houston Head and a couple of the people from Triple G Construction. And we had some the track is beautiful, really no issues there. They are going to put another line in at the very beginning, just kind of a practice starting line for a 100-meter dash, 30 yards behind the other one, so you're not just wearing out that starting line in practice. And they haven't done that. They're going to do that before they pull out of there. The concerns were just they had come in and hydro-seeded just a couple days before they started surfacing the track. Well, I don't know why or how, but they knew the timing was bad because they needed to get water on it, but you couldn't spray water on that new track because they're putting layers on it. So that was just like shut down for a couple weeks. So that seed, of course, didn't do anything. But they're aware of that, and they're back now. We working on that. We walked around, saw some areas that weren't just exactly level. They're putting in today. They're putting in some composite in a bunch of areas to kind of build some of it up. They're going to aerate it and then push some of that stuff down so we have a little bit better drainage. So they took it seriously in our meeting, and then they're reseeding the whole thing, and then they're going to water it. So there's a lot of clay kind of on that south side, and we had some water just standing in there, and, you know, clearly you could tell the grass is not gonna grow in that, and so had a pretty good meeting, and they took it seriously, and they're reworking that, so I think we're gonna get a good product before it's on. Took extra work than what they had anticipated, I think, initially. Most of you noticed our farmer we had up there, that 17 acres, he's actually got it cleaned up nice, and we're really pleased with that. And then he's planted, teff in it for this year, and then he hopes this fall to put alfalfa in it, and then it'll just be a continue, but he's got the weeds all knocked down all around the ditch banks, and it looks nice. Also, the Ernie Chandler helped us with, helped the Fiddle Festival people with the 4 acres that we're allowing them to use. They're doing all that work. We're just letting them have that property, but it's getting in pretty good shape. They planted tough as well. They flattened it out really nicely, but they're not gonna water it, so it may be a dust bowl this June. If they get a little bit of rain in the next couple weeks, some of that, they did seed it to tough, and it'll pop up a little bit, and it'll get a lot better, but I guess we'll see how that plays out. It's fine as long as you don't get a big windstorm and rainstorm in the middle of it if it hasn't started, so, but that's where they're at, so. Met with Gary and Joya and our tech people, and they're gonna help them get set up with technology as well as to help run the sound. Sky apparently has some quite a bit of expertise in running that sound system, so he's gonna be helping them somewhat on that, so hopefully we kind of get it worked out with that. I mean, they're clearly not our issue, but we work with them for all through the years, for 80 years now, and so hopefully we can work with them and help make a good production. I don't know, Drew, you can talk about your work assembly some?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. It was really nice. Let's see, I did go up to, last Friday, we had our last Friday work meeting with all the teachers. And the primary focus was on curriculum alignment, and Wendy and Danielle kind of led the teachers in that process. They worked hard, got these packets together for each grade level, and did a nice job with them. Prior to that, I did give just a brief kind of a state of the district address, just explaining that, you know, there's a lot of really good things going on. These building projects are going on, we're fixing things up. The awards assembly was awesome, that's what we're about, giving kids scholarships and moving along. But we're also in tough times economically, because we got some changes coming. We had to do the reduction in force in SPED, which to cut down 2 teachers. We're looking at other opportunities to cut back. I met with the paraprofessionals just after that to let them know, you know, they have a job if they're planning to come back, but it may not be the same job they have. We have to make a few shifts in the district to cover some areas without refilling some positions. So we're gonna be down 2 or 3 paraprofessional positions going into next year. So there's just, when we have some attrition, we have the ability to cut back, we have to. Because going into the career ladder, good chance a lot of staff will get raises, which is a good thing, but we can't do it with too many staff that we don't get paid for. So we're over there quite a bit, and I think Barb will probably discuss that a little bit. But anyway, some really good things happening. Economically, things we're looking at, could be some nice raises for teachers. It would change clearly how they are paid, instead of just, you know, the career ladder, as you guys all know, years of experience and education turns over to evaluations and student performance data and those types of things. So it's clearly a change. So that's where we are currently. Any questions?
All right, okay, let's move on. Thank you. Let's hear from our administrators a little bit, talk about
Yep.
some great the things that are going on.
Brief oral reports from each building.
Yep.
I'll go first.
So, lots of great stuff happening at Pioneer School as we wrap up the school year. Definitely field trip season, and kids are getting out, and looking forward to our annual trip to the Chandler Family Ranch for our third graders. Our second graders all walked up and spent part of a day at the museum, had lunch up there in the grass, and then got to go through the museum and see all that, and that was really neat for them. Our first graders, right at the end of April and early May, went to the Children's Museum in Meridian and got to experience that, and that's a pretty neat spot if you've never been there. And then our kindergartners last Wednesday got to take their trip to the zoo, and that was a lot of fun. The kids had a great time with that, had a lot of parent volunteers that jumped on and helped out with that. So lots of that kind of stuff going on for sure this time of the year. Our third grade kids, if you guys have some time tomorrow, they're kind of doing a dress rehearsal, and then on Wednesday they're actually doing their show for parents and for the community. They do what they call a wax museum, and the kids dress up in period costumes, and they basically assume the role of the person they're reporting on. And they've been doing a ton of research and putting together presentations and trying to find costumes so that they can dress up like the people they're going to be telling you about. So it's been a lot of work. It's a really neat thing. If you have some time, it's worth it to come down and watch those kids present. It's a really neat deal, so we're looking forward to that. And then next week on May 20th at 10 o'clock in the morning at Weiser High School in the auditorium, we will be graduating our kindergartners. From kindergarten to first grade, that is always a good time. So if you guys can get there, that's a lot of fun. We'll recognize all those students and announce their names, and there's lots of pictures taken, and it's a fun time for that group of kids. So those are just a few of the things that are going on, and as well as still teaching to the end of the year and finishing up all of our state testing and doing all those things. Mrs. Hunt has been incredibly busy with ISAT and our IRI testing. She's done a really fine job with that. And again, just one of those ones where you race to the end and then it's over. But lots of great stuff going on down there. The staff's working hard. The kids are hanging in there. And hard to believe that we're down to single digits on number of days in school. So the year's gone quick, but it's been a really, really good year. I feel like it's been very productive.
So since you're on Pioneer, we see a face in the back there. You'll see a lot next year probably. I believe that's who I see.
I didn't know he was here.
Eric
Hey,
Davis,
Eric, come on up for a second.
At least, say hi. Thanks for coming over.
This is Eric Davis. He is our Pioneer principal, and he was able to come over on Friday and work with our staff during that curriculum alignment and doing that stuff. And then he was able to meet with our staff in the afternoon, and they had a little Q&A session. And I introduced him, and then went to my office and did some work, and came down and worked with Kyla, and just gave the staff and Eric some time to get acquainted and talk about next year and kind of steps going forward. So Eric's been over on this is probably maybe your third occasion, huh? Last week, second or third occasion. Helped with kindergarten registration, which was great. Met some of those parents that are going to be coming in, and he's wearing two hats, finishing up in Caldwell, and but he's really all in, and I think he's going to do a wonderful job at Pioneer next year. He's really excited for that. So go ahead and maybe if you want to say a few things. So happy to have him.
I'm Eric Davis. Currently teaching second grade in Lewis and Clark, and looking forward to being at Pioneer next year. Great staff. Looking forward to all the positive things that are going on over there. I did get to participate in the vertical alignment. That was pretty cool. We've done some of that ourselves. So it was exciting and fun. I am looking forward to next year.
Thanks for coming over. Yeah.
Of course.
For me, would like to echo what Dave Davies mentioned about ISATs. Would like to really recognize three people, Danielle Hunt, Gina Glenn, and Mary Clough. I believe we have one more ISAT makeup test to go, but their organization and setup has been really, really clean and really effective. We have a field trip that the fourth grade is going to the Boise Zoo and Boise History Museum next week. And then we've had a couple of successful transition meetings. Last week, the third graders came up to Clark, and They were able to sit in fourth grade classes, and then our fourth grade went up to the fifth grade and sat in their classes and did a couple of rotations. And then today, our fifth graders went over to the middle school and Wendy and Ben were able to run through some of the information, so that was really good. And saw their choir and band perform, and it was exceptional. Really, really talented young group of kids. And the last thing that I would just like to mention is that this Thursday we have our Park School Carnival from 5:30 to 8, and if you are able to come out and support our school, that would be really helpful. Any questions that I can answer from the group?
Okay.
I'll bring money, please, if you're going. We only take $100 bills, and no change is given back.
I think so.
No change.
Yep.
Well, I've seen a lot of fake $100 bills, so it's a deal.
Melissa will be processing that, so she might be getting in trouble over it.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
All right, Indian Head, we've got a graduation coming up on Thursday. We're gonna have 3 graduates at 10:30 in the morning on Thursday. Some kids that have been long haulers for us, and this is really a neat celebration for them. All 3 of those kids have been in our program for the last 2 full years, and so it's good to see them wrap it up. This is going to bring our total graduates to 13 for the year, out of a total of we've had 29 students enrolled at Indian Head this year. So we're really pleased with that number of completers, and hope to keep rolling. We've been talking with the high school about some new folks and getting some new folks in there next year and starting over again. So that's kind of what we got going on, and we'd be glad to have your attendance there on Thursday at graduation. So. Any questions I've got? Mine's pretty short. So.
It's great. Thanks for all you're doing down there.
Oh, you bet.
I'll go with the middle school next. So likewise, we finished up our ISAT testing through April. We were doing all of that. We had our last week. We had our last person who still needed to make up the ISAT, so that's all completed. And we'd like to thank Mr. Willings for coming in and proctoring that. That made things a lot more smooth than trying to have it all done at the same time with their homeroom teachers. So that was nice. And then also with Kathy Miller, she did the separate settings for students that needed accommodations. So they had a busy month. May 1st, we had a dance to celebrate and kind of kick off our We Survived ISAT celebration, and students dressed up in their neon and just had a really great time. So we appreciate the parents that came in and chaperoned, and staff that came for that as well in the evening. And then the following week, we had dress-up days, which are always fun until they're not anymore. But so they had a lot of fun dressing up and just kind of celebrating and a more relaxed mode this last week. At the end of the week, our 6th graders went to Topgolf for what is kind of becoming an annual science-related field trip for them. They have little packets that they connect with physics, and they're asking questions about their games and different things like that. So it aligns well with the science curriculum at the 7th grade level. Our 8th graders will have a field trip on the 21st, and things fell apart on that. So they were all very disappointed when they found out that it didn't line up the way we wanted it to. And then they were very relieved when Miss Thompson jokingly told them that they all got to go to Man Creek. They weren't very excited about that, and then she said, "No, we're going to go to Topgolf." So they get to go to Topgolf this year as well. So we'll just have them do the same packet, and then everyone is gone, and we'll just become a 6th grade thing there. Tonight is the choir concert. Tomorrow night is Taco and Tunes. So they sell tacos to raise money for the band. That's middle school and high school, but it is at the middle school in the front yard there. And then also the science fair is tomorrow. And so we are very appreciative of the community members who come in and judge the 7th grade students' science projects. And then they'll have that opportunity tomorrow night to show their parents and receive the recognition that they have for their projects. So they've been working on that. And that's pretty much what we've got going on right now. So hectic, but students are doing a good job. Working hard.
Thank you. Any questions?
What time tomorrow night's the science fair?
I believe that starts at 7 o'clock for the parents.
And grandparents.
And grandparents, and aunts and
add that to my
uncles
calendar.
and neighbors, yes, whomever wants to come.
All right, so at the high school, it's the month where I gain more gray hairs than any other month. There's a lot going on right now. Everything, graduation, trying to get that taken care of. We had our awards assembly. Katie Maloney, Amy Clark, Stacy Droff, and Nikki Erickson did an outstanding job organizing that. We handed out over $1.5 million in scholarships and 50,000 from local scholarships. So we got a great community and great alumni, and we really appreciate that. The April SATs, I was really excited because the first time I went on there and looked, it said we were just over the state average. Today we double checked and we're right there with the state average. So that's kind of where we're at on our SATs. I was really excited because I thought we'd beat the state average, but we're right there with them. As you can see, the board report, the written report is very long, so I'm just going to touch on a few of these. Jeff Nelson took a choir group and went and competed at the state level. We had 2 kids that ended up being state champions. Those were Olivia Sanders and Regan Roberts. A couple other kids went as well and did a fantastic job there as well. We sent our CTE class, carpentry class, to Meridian to do a tour that they do at Home Depot. A bunch of our kids went, had a great experience over there, and that's kind of something that John has been doing year after year, and it's been a really neat experience for our kids to go over there and learn some of that thing, some of that stuff. We did paint the street this week. If you go up there, you'll see some fantastic artwork, and hopefully it's all good. Graduation is this Sunday at 2 p.m. After that, we have the senior party from 9 to 4 a.m. If any of you would like to chaperone, it'd be great. We'll do that, and we had a lot of help from Mary Clough and our parents that put that all together, so did a nice job. As far as athletics, down there at the bottom, our sports are in full swing. Those that are not competing right now are preparing for fundraisers, preparing to get their summer stuff started and going, and that's just kind of an update there. You see down at the bottom, I put in a little bit of facilities update, which Mr. Kirby hit on, so I won't go into that, but there's a lot going on at the high school. So if you have any questions.
Good job.
Thanks.
You look tired.
I am tired.
You got a ways, I look at Mr.
You don't have,
Davies.
Catching you.
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna
Haircut,
comment
too.
on gray hair. Like my kids, maybe. Somebody.
All right, thank you administrators for all that you do. Probably sometimes as thankless as any other job, but you're doing a great job. And our schools and students are well rewarded for having you in their leadership. We
I
didn't
don't
have any
have
citizen comments.
And I
And I see the
believe,
WA has.
Ariel, are you gonna be able to
entered
speak?
the room.
Yes.
Okay.
So, no, it's my turn.
Sure, yes. That'd be wonderful. We had our 2-month appointment today, so I had to run and then run and then run. Thank you guys for keeping us on the agenda, even though I haven't been able to be here the last couple of times. We kind of had like an emergency because I was going to be here in March, and then that didn't happen. And then April, I was still out, but last week was my first week back, and it was nice to be my own person instead of a mom for a while. So the WA would like to thank you for the delicious cake during Teachers Appreciations Week. Also, I would personally like to thank you for the welcome card you guys sent when I had Abigail. A big shout out to the newly formed PTO at Park School. Their support during a Teacher Appreciation Week was greatly appreciated. At the middle school, Wendy had been spoiling the staff, is what they said. And they were all feeling the love. And the 3rd graders did really well during their ISATs. This was their first time taking it, but definitely not their last. The WAA is proud of the seniors. Many are heading to college and pursuing trade schools or military service. They said the senior class is going places. And as we head into the final stretch, we're all looking forward to celebrating the end, but also looking forward to another great year. That's all I got. Thank you, guys.
Okay, so I've got a letter for you, I'll get it to you, talking about, we're requesting an open negotiation meeting
Yes.
with you. We have, Kyla has got a public records request out to Ms. Turner.
Okay.
And as pursuant to Idaho Code 33-127, the school board trustees, the Weiser board trustees requires evidence establishing that the WEA represents 50% plus one.
Okay.
And we have to see the proof of that, so it needs to be brought into Kyla so that we can see.
Okay.
That
You
that's-
need that before Monday, next Monday.
We should have it,
Yes.
right?
I'm
right.
sorry, yeah. Chalet has it. I just haven't got it right this second.
So,
No,
yeah,
that's
bring
fine.
that in, Kyla. And then we need, we are requesting a copy of the survey questionnaire, and the aggregate totals of the survey.
Okay.
So,
Do you just want me to add Kyla to that or add each of you to that?
just to put.
Bring
get
it to me
Kyla.
and I will get it to them.
Okay.
Yes.
It's online and it looks weird when I print it out or try to send it.
So I have a letter out
Okay,
for you so that you know what
thank you.
that is, so. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Exactly. And actually, you might want to just head out now if you want to stay for that.
I'm gonna see if she does okay, but yeah, Daniel might come and get her.
Awesome.
So you talked about the 19th, at what times are?
5 p.m., the 19th at 5 p.m. is what we've got scheduled, right? You
Yes,
got that?
the
Okay.
19th at 5 p.m.
Okay,
Here?
because that is a public
Yes.
meeting.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah, so we'll have it here.
All right, that gets us to our consent agenda. Has everybody looked at the last minutes from our last meeting? Have any questions, changes that need to be updated? Okay. Is there any changes to the current agenda, Mr. Kirby or Kyla, that,
No, we'll discuss that 24:30 when we get there. Mhm.
okay? I see we have an attachment on
Staff
retirement, staff retirements or resignations.
Yes.
Ms. Price.
Dear Mr. Kirby, Mr. Davies, and the Weiser Board of Trustees, I am writing to formally submit my resignation from my position at Pioneer Elementary effective at the end of my current contract. This decision was not made lightly. My family and I will be relocating due to my spouse's career advancement. an opportunity that brings both excitement and bittersweet changes for us. As we prepare for this next chapter, I find myself reflecting on the deep sense of gratitude I feel toward this incredible community. Weiser has helped raise our kids into thriving adults, for which we are extremely grateful. This community has embraced our family, and we have truly found a home here. It will be hard to leave this wonderful place. It has been a true honor to teach and grow alongside the students, staff, and families of Pioneer Elementary. The support, collaboration, and spirit of this district have not only helped me grow as an educator, but have made Pioneer feel like a second home. I'm especially grateful for the opportunities the district has provided, from professional development to daily encouragement, to innovate and inspire in the classroom. The teachers in this building are amazing educators who truly care about their students, both academically and personally. I am grateful to have served beside them for so many years. The friendships and memories I have built here will stay with me always. I am committed to helping ensure a smooth transition, and am happy to assist in any way I can before my departure. Thank you once again for the trust, support, and kindness you and the community have shown me. I will always look back on my time here with great fondness. With sincere appreciation, Chrissy Weiser.
That's the only one I had.
Okay. Appreciate what all of our teachers do, so. It's nice when they have other places that they make these decisions and are able to move on though, so. All right, we have consider hiring of staff, and this one, I believe, was just a couple that were missed in our last
Right,
meeting that we.
right.
I'm sure Mr. Church wants to know that we approve. And I don't even know how to say that last name.
Zerwas.
Zerwas. I was going to crucify it, but.
He's our occupational therapist, and he is a point,
2.5.
what would you say, 2.5? Yeah, yeah. So, yeah.
So we,
Okay, and then the other one was, I think, Drew, you want to talk about your science teacher? That one was in there. I didn't attach anything, but.
So I put together a committee, what was it, last 2 weeks ago? Trying to remember my timeline here. Put it together a committee, had some applicants for our science position, went through the process and interviewed a young lady. Her name is Sydney Reyes, and we're really excited to offer her the science position.
okay. Any questions? All right, so when we do our consent agenda, that will be part of our consideration. Okay. Without any other questions, Barb, would you like to talk us through your
Alrighty.
numbers?
Well, you're gonna love me today because really there's nothing new since we talked last time. So the report that was included in your packet is compared to what we're proposing as the amended budget. So you're not seeing all of the red that's on there. We are 2/3 through our financial year right now in most of our categories. Anything, the business operations is, we're at 10 of 12 months right now. We've got the 2 months left to go, but most, and grounds and maintenance and those kinds of things have a traditional fiscal year end with June 30th. But the other items, we're right at that 64%. I don't have anything that I'm concerned about. We've talked a lot about special education, and if you look at special education on the general fund side, you'll see that we're considerably below that 64 to 68%, which would be the 2/3. But if you look at the Medicaid fund on the federal side in Fund 260, you'll see that we are at 216% of that budget line item. And the differences come out between balancing that general fund with what we don't receive in Medicaid. So that's where that will kind of true itself up. So not a lot of changes from last time. and all of our checking accounts are in balance. Very excited about that. We did receive some federal forest funds, or we will be receiving them. They've been allocated by the federal government to the state. The state will forward them to the county, and the county will eventually get them to us. But in prior years, it's been ticking down. We've received as much as $80,000 in the past. Last year, our allocation was right around $42,000. This year's allocation is under $3,000. So the federal government is really not supporting schools through those federal funds anymore. We've been being told for the last 10 years that it's going to go away, and we've seen that tick down happen. But to go from 40 to 3,000 that's a hit that we really didn't expect. This year we spent the majority of our federal forest funds that had been carried over from prior years on the purchase of our van. So an excellent purchase for us, but it did deplete the majority of that fund. So we don't have a lot left in there, and it was not replenished this time. So Senator Crapo is working on having some more of those funds returned to school districts, but at this point in the game, nobody's giving him much of a chance of getting that done. So we should see those dollars. At the April meeting, you all said we could declare the bus as excessive equipment. We did put it out on an auction. There are quite a few school buses out on the public surplus auction right now, and with that one not being in working order, we're not receiving very many bids on it. In fact, we only have one, and it is at the minimum of $500. The auction closes on the 15th at midnight. So on the 16th, we'll take a look at it, and if that's the only bid, then we'll make a decision whether or not it's worth going ahead and accepting that. It's worth about $500 in scrap, and the difference that we have is that because it's not running, we would have to tow it to the scrap yard, so we would have additional expenses associated with that. So even if we do only get the $500 for it, that's probably $500 more than we should get. And we'll do things like take the tires off of it and any seat covers that are, still in good shape that can be used on another bus. We'll do all of those kinds of things. But it would be my recommendation that even if they only goes to the $500, that we accept that bid and just get it out of the shop. So, Mr. Kirby alluded to the fact that we'll be putting the budget together prior to. Or in conjunction with, really is the proper term, with negotiations. We are trying to, as best we can, go to the career ladder. We've talked all year long about, or since the beginning of the year, that we're funding on 70 funding units is our budget, and that pays for 77 teachers, and we have almost 90 teachers. So getting to the mandatory rungs on the career ladder, we do have to do some concessions and modify some other cells in that career ladder in order to be able to not just completely deplete our fund balances. So you'll see that as we enter into negotiations, we'll have a team meeting and go through all of the very specifics on that. Good, bad news, however you want to look at it. Insurance costs for health insurance did go up a little over 7%. But because of the way that we've been paying for that, we will still be able to offer a free plan to all employees with that high deductible plan, and also still be able to contribute some into the health savings account for the folks that are on that plan. For people that are on the traditional plan, they will see a small increase in what the previous that they're paying. So that's all I know at this time.
Okay, any questions?
Questions for me?
You did a great job. Thank you very much.
All right, and the last item is approving our payment of our bills. As you went through some of those things, any questions that anybody has? Okay, that completes the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second it.
Okay, motion to approve the consent agenda and items within has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Congratulations. All right, got a lot of things happening in the action report, but we'll get through this best we can today. The first one is no surprise, we've been doing this for years, but football equipment being lent out to the camps has got to be approved by the board. Mr. Kirby, are you gonna talk about that?
I'll probably have Drew talk about it. Drew gets his football equipment.
So each year we have to ask for use of the football equipment for football camp. And I believe they get 10 days to use it.
Okay. Any questions for that usage? I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the request for use of football equipment at summer camps.
Second. Okay, motion has been made and seconded to allow football equipment to be used for summer camps. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that carries. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have Andrew, is that right?
Yes. As we talked, yeah, our bids we've got.
EV Studios, so do you want to hook your computer up here, or do you want me to?
I can do that, yeah. I have
Okay.
Amanda and Brian on.
Okay, good, we'll
Sorry
do
for
that.
That mess it up, so.
I'm gonna hand this.
Why don't I move out of my seat, you can sit here and
Sounds good.
just hook up and that'll work out. And have I turned that on? No. They've been over here a lot, just the last few weeks. What's that?
Drive gets prettier.
Oh, doesn't it though? It didn't actually work out, so Andrew, I'm giving you my seat and I will sit back here.
Amanda, Brian, can you hear us? Oh, sorry, I think that's me. Let me get my one squared away. Okay, Amanda, can you try again, please?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We've got you in the room here.
Perfect. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I wasn't able to be there in person today.
Do you want us to jump in with recommendations on
Yeah,
the different?
well, I think so. Okay, so the board has seen kind of your ledgers for each of these. So your first one, you're talking about the high school
Yep.
roof, and kind of you had 4 bids on it, kind of walk us through those and give us your recommendation.
Yeah, so I'm Andrew Coonan with EV Studio Architects, working on the various projects, the roof replacements, the gym floor, getting those out to bid. And I've got Amanda Bidwell, our director here in our Boise office, and Brian Welch, one of our principals. Weren't able to be here tonight, but they're calling in, and I'll turn it over to Amanda to kind of go through the bids that we got and recommendations. We're starting with the roof for the high school main building. Amanda?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, does everyone have the bid ledger in front of them as well?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, the board members have that.
Okay, great. So we obviously have the 4 contractors that bid on the project. The base bid, just for everyone's knowledge, was to replace the entire roof except for over the main gym with TPO. And then the main gym roof would receive an elastomeric coating that would extend its life by about 10 years. That roof wasn't in as bad of shape as the rest of the building. Add alternate 1 is to go ahead and also replace the roof to re-roof the main gym by putting a fleece back TPO over the existing roofing. That would extend the life by about 30 years. of warranty, and then, I don't know, Andrew, probably 50 years for TPO, actual lifespan. And then unit price 1 is to replace any damaged decking once they uncover, especially over the cafeteria and kitchen area. That roof had a couple of spots that felt a little soft, so we put in excuse me, this unit price to replace that. That's per sheet. So that will come up if they open that roof up and there's a couple of areas that need replaced. That's where that unit price will come in. So kind of our professional recommendation would be to go ahead and do add alternate 1. I think the added cost is worth it for the added lifespan. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at doing this again for the gym roof in about 10 years versus 30 to 50 years. A couple of other things to note. The base bid package was done with a GAF roof as the basis of design, and then we allowed for substitutions. Signature Roofing does not install GAF, they install Carlisle, so we did approve a substitution request for them. And then something that's not immediately obvious, if you do go ahead with alternate 1, Upson Roofing is actually the low bid. Their alternate being so much lower than Signature's brings them down. They'll be low by about $900 over Signature if you approve alternate 1. So looking at this, I think moving forward with alternate 1 and using Upson Roofing is probably the best bet. Questions on that?
I'm a little concerned at why their alternate 1 is so much lower than the others.
If you can
Sure.
hear.
Did you hear that, Amanda?
Yeah, I can hear. I think sometimes contractors just sort of play with where they want to put their costs to try and become the low bid. So I think that's probably part of it. They probably put a little bit extra labor in their base bid and less in the alternate 1.
Because the overall total difference between the first one and the second one was really close. Right?
Yeah,
That's what you're saying?
right around
Okay.
right around $900.
So knowing it's hard to guesstimate how much additional sheeting may have to be replaced, we're not concerned that there's going to be an excessive number. I mean, I know it's a guesstimate, but looking at the sheeting, you're not thinking we're not going to have to replace a whole lot of sheeting because the unit price of almost $100 difference would make a difference if there was an excessive amount of sheeting that needed to be replaced.
Right.
Yeah. It's really hard to guess that because we can't actually see the sheathing from inside or out. You can feel the soft spots on the roof. It's hard to know if that's because of the cover board above the sheething, which is being replaced anyways, or if it's because of decking that is starting to rot. I don't think it will be excessive. The majority of the roof feels pretty solid. There's just a couple spots kind of where the west expansion connects into the roof that feel a little soft, and then a couple spots over the kitchen that feel a little soft.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, I'm curious, that just kind of what John said about, that's quite a difference in that unit price 1. If they're not too far off, Epson and Signature aren't too far off in their complete bid with alternate 1, what would make us go with Epson instead of Signature?
Epson is the low cost. They also, I think one thing I forgot to mention, the GAF roofing that was in the base cost or the base bid, they offer a 31-year warranty. You have to have the original installer come out once a year to check on the roofing, but that extends the warranty by 6 years, whereas Signature uses Carlisle, and Carlisle does not offer that same warranty. So I think that is another benefit to Upson. You get an additional 6 years, and they are the low bid.
Gotcha.
And there's no
Is
addition.
there-
Oh, sorry.
Is there
go
a
ahead.
cost? Sorry, John.
I was going to ask
there-
about the cost. Is there a cost associated with having them come out and inspect?
Yeah.
I believe there is.
And do we know what that cost is, by any chance?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have that.
Have you worked with any of these companies in other job locations?
I personally have worked with Signature indirectly through general contractors. I have not worked with the other ones. They are all publicly licensed and approved.
Okay. Okay. So it's my understanding that you guys would, EV Studios would suggest Upson Roofing over the 4 because of the bid.
Yeah.
So in order for us to move on from, see if there's no other questions, we need to make a motion, unless there's other questions that you.
We're doing 2 more roofs, is that correct?
Correct. Yep. 2 more roofs.
Pioneer and the Ox Gym.
Yeah.
And are we concerned at all, did Upson bid all of them? I think Upson bid 2 of them, right? Just both high schools?
2.
Not the Pioneer? And Signature bid the Pioneer? Okay. I was going with a question there. Something with Manning, we're not concerned with the workload that Upson currently has that would keep them from accomplishing this in a timely manner?
No. And Upson was the only one that submitted an alternate proposal to the schedule to actually start a little bit earlier, and they put in the provisions required for not doing any work over to school or over classrooms during school and not doing any work over the gym during the tournament. But yeah, they had a solid plan to get it done on time.
Okay. That's a good question.
Yeah, I think the way it shook out, we'd have a different roofer for each project at this point, so they wouldn't be spread too thin across.
Under recommendations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ways to move forward.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure we've talked to this, but the only other factor there is our Fiddle Festival, the 15th, 16th to the 21st. So we wouldn't want to pound the nails on the auditorium roof in high school during that time. But other than that,
Yeah.
I think you've nailed it with school time and those other things. So 16 to 20 to 21, they couldn't be pounding up there. They could be on the backside of it or elsewhere, but just not right over the auditorium.
Contract over. Yeah, I think that would be fine. And we did have provisions in the bid documents that they need to provide separation for public safety during that time as well.
Okay. Any other questions? Any motions?
Andrea, did you have any further questions?
I don't think so. I don't know. Yeah, I'm good.
I'll make a motion that we accept the suggestion from EV Studios that we use Upson Roofing and accept the bid from Upson Roofing for the roof repair on the high school.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded to accept the bid of Upson Roofing through EV Studios.
Do we have an alternate one?
Ah, yes, thank you. With an acceptance of alternate one. Yes, good catch, John. I amend my motion to include accepting also the alternate one on that bid.
Okay,
Second that amendment.
okay. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
I,
Okay, it's unanimous. That's the,
Thank you. Good catch, John.
okay, and the second, so the roof of Pioneer.
The Pioneer? Yep.
Okay. So on Pioneer, we had only received one bid from Signature Roofing. The options with only receiving one bid are you can reject that and take it back out to bid, or you can accept that bid. Our recommendation is to accept because we did receive a courtesy email from another roofer that had planned to bid on it. Sorry, I'm losing my voice today. They had planned to bid on it, but did not have the capacity. They had been awarded a couple of other jobs prior to the bid being due. So they opted to not actually send in their proposal, but out of the courtesy, they sent in their numbers, and they were quite a bit higher than Signature's numbers, so Signature would have been the low bid. So our recommendation would be to go ahead and accept and not reject and go back out for additional pricing. The base bid for this one is to replace the full roof with asphalt shingle. It is a 50-year product, so you consider the $223 for 50 years. That's a pretty good investment. Alternate one is to replace the roof ridge vent on the southernmost roof. Right now, the way it ties in is creating some water penetration issues. So we have a detail in there of how to replace that vent to eliminate that water penetration area. And then alternate two is to replace the entire roof with a standing seam metal roof. It would look really sharp. It would look a lot like your middle school gym, the middle school, which is standing seam. It would have probably a longer life than the asphalt shingle roof, but it obviously triples the cost as well. Because the asphalt shingle that was specified is a high quality project with a long lifespan, our recommendation there is to accept just the base bid, and then to go ahead with alternate one and eliminate that problem area. Go with the asphalt roof.
I had a hard time hearing the alternate area. Can
Oh.
you tell me that one more time? Sorry.
No worries. Alternate one or alternate two?
Alternate one.
Alternate one.
Alternate one, there's a roof ridge vent on the south side of the building, and the way that it currently ties in with the other roof going back is creating just like a water penetration issue.
Okay.
There, it's going to be a spot that might leak.
Gotcha.
Any other questions? Great question, Andrew. Thanks. Okay. You're in deep thought. Just looking. Anybody have a motion they'd like to make?
I was picturing where Pioneer was located, picturing the surrounding topography, making sure we didn't have any trees nearby. Just doing the roofing thing, sorry.
Good job.
For all of this, I think that's tracing down where there's some water penetration. I can show this. This is the ridge vent in question for alternate one, and you can see there's just not enough vertical separation there where this ridge comes in and intersects it. So we would remove this, cut back where it's venting so that it doesn't intersect this point, and it would just be a new metal cap, kind of typical continuous ridge vent.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Got a forest.
Yeah.
The greatest thing to do. Sorry.
So you ready for a motion?
Sure.
I would make a motion that we accept the base bid from Signature Roofing with alternate one.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to accept Signature Roofing's base bid with alternate one of the Pioneer Elementary roof. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. The third consideration would be the high school auxiliary gym roof.
Okay, so the high school auxiliary gym, the bid here is to re-roof with a TPO roofing over the entire building, and then additionally over the wrestling room and weight room. That section of roof would be replaced down to the deck and put in a vapor barrier and a new roofing system built up from there. The reason being there's been a lot of moisture issues on that roof in particular. We had done some investigation. Andrew went out with a roofing company and they took a couple of core samples, and the full assembly had water in it. So there's obviously been some moisture issues with that particular section. We think because of the difference in temperature, where they keep the wrestling room warmer in there, it's creating some issues. So the bid included replacing that, putting in a vapor barrier, and additional insulation that should help solve that problem. And then unit price one is to replace any damaged insulation throughout the rest of the roof. I don't know that there will be a ton. It's similar to the high school where there's a few spots that may need it, but so we put it in there to have pricing available for it, but I don't think it will be much for that. DNA came in as the low bid on this one by a pretty substantial amount. A couple of other things to note on this one. So DNA was the only one that showed up to the initial mandatory bid walk. We didn't want to receive bids from only one roofing company based on that, so we sent out a bid addendum to allow additional, like a pre-bid meeting by appointment, in order to get a couple more roofing companies interested and get some more bids in the door. Along with that, this was set up similar to the high school, in which we had GAF as a basis of design product, and then we allowed substitutions. I got a substitution request for Carlisle roof on this building as well, and I did approve it. However, because of the way the timing came in on this, the substitution request wasn't submitted until 2 days before the bids were due. The bid documents did technically say that questions and substitutions needed to be received a minimum 7 days prior. Unfortunately, the timing of people missing the mandatory walk, that's why the substitution request kind of came in later. The bid docs also give the owner, and by extension myself as your representative, the right to waive any formalities. So I think we are covered by that to have approved the late substitution request. And I had approved it again just to make sure it stayed competitive, allowing in a couple of the roofing companies that don't install GAF. So that's kind of where that landed. DNA does install Carlisle roofing. So they did benefit from that late substitution request.
So is going with the low bid on this one your recommendation?
Yes, sorry. Yes, I did that.
Amanda, do you want to hit on just the warranty difference between Carlisle and the GAF?
Yeah, so similar to the main building, Carlisle offers the 25-year warranty. GAF offers the 31 if you have your original installer come out and inspect once a year.
Any questions? Andrew, did you have any questions?
Is DNA, are they going to, would they install GAF or Carlisle or our choice? What are they going to install?
They didn't necessarily specify Signature as the one that requested the substitution for Carlisle, but I did hear after the fact that DNA also uses Carlisle.
They're certified by that manufacturer on their website.
Yes.
It's a 25-year warranty.
And so, and Carlisle is the, did you say Carlisle's the one with the 25-year warranty? Is that what you just said?
Yes.
And so that's what the bid is for the DNA?
Yeah.
Correct.
That was the 20.
Okay. Any idea why it might be so low? Much lower?
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Is there any indication as to why this bid would be so much,
$85,000 lower?
so much lower?
Our thought is DNA is a smaller outfit. They don't have as much overhead. Signature's a pretty large roofing company. And I think DNA is doing probably some low bid work to try and get into the market so they can continue to grow their company. So we're assuming that's why they're so much lower.
Do you know of any work they've done? Have you?
They actually did the church that I used to go to. I don't remember having any leaking issues there. Granted, I wasn't involved in the project.
I don't know. I'm a little bit concerned, but it's so low, and they sound like maybe they're new, but I don't want to be assuming things.
There is a
I think
25-year warranty, so.
sometimes, low bid isn't necessarily always the best bid.
Right.
Mr. Brush, if I might, just to kind of give the board a little bit of insight, we're required by code to accept the lowest qualifying bid. And they met all of the qualifications of the bid, so we're required by law to accept that low bid.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Well, there you go.
We went through the bids to make sure that they had all the
Met all the qualifications.
pieces accounted for, for the documents, so.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Not a lot of wiggle room.
No, there's
If they're
not.
qualified, DV Studio is qualifying it, we have to accept a low bid.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we did have some additional like paperwork and questions within our bid docs that they had to qualify for as well. So they did meet those qualifications.
Great, thank you.
Perfect.
There you go.
Thank you.
Did you want to make a motion, Andrew?
Sure. So I'll move that we accept the bid from DNA Roofing for the high school auxiliary gym roof repair and replacement. Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay. Okay. Motion has been made and seconded to accept the DNA roofing bid, base bid, which includes the unit price one, I believe. All those, and been seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Great.
And the last bid that we had was for the high school gym floor.
Okay. So the base alternate and alternate two on this project, the base bid is to replace the entire gym floor. It includes the demolition and reinstall of a similar floor. It's maple flooring. And then the painting for your standard basketball and volleyball main courts, and then the tournament style side courts. alternate 1 includes adding some school graphics, which we worked out with the high school principal and his team on what those look like. So that is what alternate 1 is. Alternate 2 was added in because we had heard that there could potentially be an issue with asbestos in the tar paper that's in the existing floor system. So alternate 2 was to perform the abatement that would be required with that asbestos. Fortunately, we got the test results back on Friday, and there is no asbestos located in that floor system, so we don't need to worry about alternate 2. Hicks Brothers came in low by quite a bit. They're a more local company. I think they've been working with Eric quite a bit on looking at this floor. They've been the most responsive, so it was kind of nice to see them come in as a little bit since we are supposed to accept that one. But I think just kind of last thought with the alternate 1, the 12,000 does give you a lot of really nice branding on your floor. I think it would be worthwhile, but I will leave that up to the board on if you want to go for the additional graphics or not.
Can you show those?
Yeah.
I don't know
Do we have
what you guys
those?
are saying, are you
Yeah,
like,
Hernandez?
Not yet, we're
Yeah,
about to, so
somewhere
keep
where
your
I
eyes
can
open.
share.
You can share the meeting, into the meeting, or I can.
Is
I
this,
can share, yeah, give me 2
You
seconds
sent us
to open
that.
it and I'll
I
share.
did. I
Yes,
did see
it
the
is.
picture.
It is.
Interrupt. This is,
exactly.
this is our interior decorators, Bo and Casey and Drew. They're gym interior decorators, and I liked it. I thought they're just a little bit of a different look. There's 3 different kinds of maple flooring you can put in. One's the clear that's kind of we've all had for the last 50 years. Now they're going with a little bit more mottled look, and they're really mottled look. And this crew chose the kind of middle one, so it is a little more mottled, but it's supposed to take the color better. So I think they were inspired by March Madness, and they go, man, that is such a cool thing. And so they put in these suggestions. So you guys have seen it, but there it is in a bigger view. So.
Walking through
Yeah,
the store
so-
when you're hungry, don't do it. Don't design gym floors watching March Madness.
Well, that's true.
It was March Madness. See the gym floor.
That's right.
That's what I was told.
So Drew, would you like to discuss this at all? Anything you want to say about it? Or just,
So pretty much, it's very similar to what we currently have. Obviously, the flooring is a little different as far as it's got a little different coloration in it. Inside the 3-point key, that's all stained wood, kind of a darkened color, and then the Wolverine head is just a lot bigger than the one we currently have. We made the writing where it says Wolverine's a little bigger on the sides, but other than that, the rest of it is the exact same.
that's included on this bid?
that's the alternate, $12,000 alternate.
Okay.
What was the original?
Is exactly what we have.
Exactly what we have. So that.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Drew, just because this is on my mind because I've been to a million volleyball tournaments lately, is all the color of the lines the same as what we have now? You know, like that would outline like
No.
The volleyball courts if you were to go, if you were to have like maybe 2 going, not the main volleyball court, but anyway, line coloring. Just making sure that our line coloring is really good because I've been to so many gyms lately where you can barely see the lines. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so we updated all the coloring to more of the modern color that's used instead of the yellow whitish color. So we've updated a bunch of that. So it will be very nice.
Really, easy to see.
One big improvement over the current gym is that on the west side, that basket wouldn't go up. So when you played volleyball tournaments in the summertime, that hoop was right down, probably getting interfered with a fair amount, and those have been fixed already to where where they can retract and go up. So that's gonna be a nice improvement for volleyball, especially, to be able to get those out of the way. But it's clearly a different look, and these guys spend a lot of time looking at it, trying to say, hey, let's have a cool high school gym that's kind of a showpiece for the district when you come in.
So I know the basketball courts vary a little bit in size. Is this the exact same size as our, like the inside diameter of the?
Yeah, it's regulation high school size. The one thing I will tell you on the stained, where the stained key and the Wolverine head is stained instead of painted. If you see the Wolverine head we currently have, it's painted on and it's all cracked and split. That's because the floor moves a little bit and the paint will break apart and leave crack marks. That's stained, so you don't see any of that as much.
They won't have 25 years of steel on it either.
Well, yeah.
From what I saw, it looks awesome.
Thank you, Andrea.
Drew wanted to put a big wrestling mat in the middle of it. He didn't care about it.
I'll say with the court lines too, there's kind of a hierarchy to the different sports. So the main basketball court, you know, those lines take precedent as they come through, and then main volleyball, you know, the other lines will break at the basketball lines. Then main volleyball is the next priority, and all the other lines break at there, and you leave a little gap. So you'll have that contrast with the color and with the break in the lines, because you do have those cross courts and other elements coming in. So there's a lot of thought as to how you distinguish between the main competition courts and then the other additional lines. So that shouldn't be an issue.
Okay. Any other questions? In order for us to move on, I've got to have a motion.
I'll make one.
Okay.
I move that we accept the Hicks Brothers bid, including alternate one, for the Weiser High School gym floor replacement.
I'll second it. Okay. Motion's been made and seconded multiple times for the replacement of gym floor with alternate with Hicks Brothers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, carries. Thank you. All right, that concludes our bids. You have anything further you're just dying to say?
I don't think so. No, it's been a really great process working with everybody, so we appreciate the opportunity, and obviously we're not done with it yet, so we'll go through the whole process. So.
Appreciate
Mark and I would like to thank EV Studios for all their work, because that was a lot of work, and we do appreciate. They've come to a lot of meetings, and they've done a lot of just legwork for us, so
Randy answers the phone.
I will have to say, it's
Well,
been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you, Randy. Do you know the time frame on the gym floor? When that will start?
The install will start.
Because I know like that Sunday after the basketball tournament, they're gonna come in and start turning bleachers out for that. And then we've already put lights in there. Those have been changed out, so. But just on the gym floor, they're getting right after it, I'm sure, right after that.
Yeah, I think it was all worked
June
out.
1, June 2, or something like that.
Once bleachers are out.
Bleachers are out and the building's painted first.
Painting.
2 weeks, June 2nd, 2 weeks, gym floor will be.
Floor goes.
As far as tear out. We have to give the painters 2 weeks.
So, yeah.
You guys work with Eric on that timing and kind of making that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, Amanda, did you have another thought on that?
I was just gonna say that the schedule within the bid docs had 2 weeks in there between now and, between the tournament and when they could mobilize.
Yep.
Okay. Any other, you two are conspiring over there, you have something you want to?
Yeah, I was just
share with us?
considering stealing part of the floor, like I stole.
Come down and help yourself.
Kevin
would love it.
He took apart the track, so I said, you need a piece of it, Jim.
No, it's fine, it's fine. I got approval, I got approval.
I'm sure I kept it on for you.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate it. I really do. And thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Staying
Amanda.
alive.
Yeah, I apologize because I wasn't able to be there in person today. It's my son's first birthday, so I've been hanging out with him all day.
That's not a problem.
That's where you should be.
Yeah.
It's my son's third birthday.
All right. Well, I'm with you guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I just really want to January. No, December. Almost forgot. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
So next on our agenda is policy, a first reading of policy 2440. Knowing that there still needs to be a second reading, and we still have opportunity to discuss this policy moving forward, but the first reading of this policy we need to get moving on this policy. So everybody take a look at policy 2440.
And we probably need a motion to do it as a first reading, and then there'll be some changes.
And I was just gonna, since it's on the agenda, see if there's any questions about this before we move it, but we will discuss it more. We have time to discuss it more, but as it's written, is there any questions that you'd have before we would want to move it to have a first reading, prepare for a second at a later date?
I think what Barb and I discussed before the meeting, this policy 2440 is, this probably is the procedure that would back up policy 2440. So we have this one written, but we're probably moving this portion to the procedure because this is what they do at the high school right now. And the 2440 will be the overview of that backs that up. So that's what we're probably going to tell you.
So this current procedure that the high school goes through?
That is currently what they do.
All the green section.
The green, yeah, how do you like all the green? That's the addition on there so that we put it in with how it's currently being done.
Okay.
And so it wasn't quite the same as what the policy said, but the way we've written it now, when we reconstructed it to make that's more a procedure of that policy. So what the first policy is, the 2440, is so that we can, kids that take 4 classes and go home and take online classes or else, so that they can get some more credits. We would like to be able to count their attendance for all day, but we have to have a procedure for having to do it. So the procedure was written, but the policy is a more broader stroke. So that's what we're going to work on. So if we can move this to a first reading, then we will promise to get back and get it corrected.
So I've met with counselors and Drew a couple times on this to try to just basically get it down to kind of what they are doing. We started off on an independent learner policy, thinking that's where we wanted to go with it, and that just didn't work out with what they're doing here. In talking to IHSAA, they said that you have to have 4 credits to be a full-time student, and that's how we get paid ADA. They're full-time students have 4 or more. And so there's probably a slight change of what we've been looking at in the past. And we're also saying upperclassmen can have the potential to take 1 or more classes at home if they've successfully completed an IDLA class prior to that. Just kind of so they got a proven track record that they can do this. I think it's going to help us be a little bit more, I don't know, just adaptive to current life. Kids have so many options on how they can take credits and how homeschoolers can take credits. And we're just adapting a little bit here so that we can keep these students as ours, keep them eligible for sports, we can count them for ADA, full-time students, yet upperclassmen with parent approval could potentially take 1 or 2 of these classes at home with IDLA. So they sign up through our IDLA person, she tracks it as far as attendance, as far as grades, and so that we can count them as our full-time student. And this
But they
is-
have to meet those benchmarks, those
Yeah, yeah,
criteria, so that
this is
we
a
know
good
that
first
they're
read,
actually
and
progressing.
it's been worked on a fair amount, but clearly we want to hammer it out and look at it again for a second reading down the road.
Yes.
So a student taking IDLA class counts as in school butts and seats.
No.
Not necessarily, no, they,
If they follow that policy, yes. If that, just IDLA, they have to be in school.
But my question is, so I'm looking at this.
Okay.
You're saying they need to be in school for at least 4 hours, basically until noon, but four classes in school with a potential IDLA after 4? That's my clarification, is what?
So if they have, okay, so juniors and seniors, if they have successfully completed a couple IDLA classes, okay, and they have, I think they changed this down to 3.25 GPA, is that what it is?
Okay, that's
3.5, it's 3.5.
Or above
3.5.
They can then take IDLA classes, sign up through high school, so they can take 2 or 3 at school, 1 or 2 at home. They're gonna sign up at school underneath our librarian who oversees it. They're our students. They're just now getting approved to take that IDLA class. Some of them wanna go to work, and they don't wanna just take a work release, because they don't need any more credits. They just want a job and make money. But yet, so they could take one class at home, so they could work it in their schedules where they could do something of that nature. So they could potentially, you know, we've had some of this in the past where it was release periods, and so they didn't really count for us, right? You know, it didn't count for us. On ADA, we got to fix that. And so in this case, we're just saying what it's going to take in order to qualify to do this. We're not just opening up, anybody take an IDLA class, 8th grade on up. It's like, okay, you proved yourself, you have 3.25, you're taking a couple of IDLA classes successfully, probably in our library, prior to this, so we know that you're an independent learner and that you can complete these. Online, this doesn't work for everybody. And some that it does and some it doesn't. So it just gives those upper classes a little bit of flexibility if the parents approve. So you have to have parent approval, teacher, counselor approval, and principal approval for these students to do it. It's not just wide open for whatever. So just putting some rules to what we think could work for this scenario.
So I guess my question, going back, so if a senior that's met most of the requirements had two classes, like, let's just say history and English that they took in school, and then they had 2 IDLA classes, would they need to come in? Like, if they're approved, right, I get all that, would that, if they had those 4, would that count for us as a full day?
I believe so.
Okay, that,
The only thing this policy is saying, really, is your students can take an online course at home and we're gonna accept credit for it.
Yeah.
And attendance, that's all
yeah,
it is.
no, so I know these questions are gonna come up, so I didn't know how to answer those.
Will be an online.
I liked your question, Jim, because I think it's number 5 there where it says student must be enrolled in 4 classes minimum. That's just a little bit maybe confusing, like, okay, is that 4 in-person classes at the high school, they're there in 4 classes? Or is it 4 classes, 2 of those could be IDLA?
It has to be 4 classes total.
4
So
classes total.
the reason that's there is because they have to at least be enrolled in 4 classes. If they do all 4 online, I guess they have to be in 4 of them.
But it's subject to approval, so that, you know, that's, I get that. I wanted to clarify how we're gonna get our full day.
Because they have to be in 4 periods to pass them,
Yeah.
So we don't want to just put anybody out there and let them just go take a class and go home and fail it.
Yeah.
It's going to be monitored pretty closely every couple of weeks on the grade report. They also have to be on track to graduation. So it's not like, they can't just way behind and just start doing this from home and be our student. So there's a number of things in place. It's going to be worthwhile to look over this again and potentially make sure it works for the high school, because they're going to enforce it. And so the board knows kind of what they're doing and try to make the same work. And so we can get full ADA for these students, and so that parents we have some flexibility here. We're not just absolutely rigid as you have been in the past. And there are a number of schools I know of that are doing this very similar thing. And so this policy itself just says, okay, you need to make some protocols to make this thing work.
Okay.
So that's where we're at.
Thank you for answering the questions, I appreciate it. Any other questions about this, any reason why you?
You need to make a motion.
Yep, yep.
I'll make a motion that we consider this a first reading of policy 2440, Weiser High School online courses taking very low experience.
We're probably gonna change the title back.
So-
To match with it, and this will be the procedure for that policy, so, yes.
Okay, as it's been presented.
Andrea seconded it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to accept this policy in front of us, 2440 as a first reading.
Thank
All those
you.
in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, that moves us into an executive session.